The cameras flashed. The crowd froze. And just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession.
I mean, it is wild how one single sentence can just derail an entire narrative, you know?
Right. Welcome to StarScope Report. We uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today we are unpacking a story that is just, well, it's incredibly dark, but it's everywhere right now.
Exactly. The main topic of this deep dive is based on the viral headline, Shia LaBeouf reveals the A-list actress who slapped his father.
Which is such a bizarre headline to read.
It really is.
Yeah.
But our mission today isn't just to, rehash the celebrity gossip of it all.
No, definitely not.
We are looking at a much bigger picture. We're examining how this bizarre legal blind spot allowed a convicted felon to just roam free among Hollywood royalty.
Right. The systemic failure there is huge.
Yeah, and we are also unpacking the really complex, super contradictory relationship between Shia and his dad, Jeffrey Craig LaBeouf.
And we also need to talk about how truth and fiction start to blur when a massive star decides to monetize their own childhood trauma.
Yes, because processing trauma on screen doesn't always mean you're telling the truth.
Exactly. And it's fascinating to see how generational cycles of behavior play out when the whole world is watching.
So let's just get right into it. The fuse for this whole discussion was lit at a fan convention in Knoxville, Tennessee, of all places.
Out of nowhere, really.
Literally out of nowhere. It's July 2026. Shia is sitting on a Transformers reunion panel. It's supposed to be this, nostalgic, lighthearted look back at his early career.
That is usually just fluff, right? Like fun anecdotes.
Right, totally. But instead, he drops this incredibly dark, unprompted story about the 2003 filming of the Disney movie Holes.
Oh, wow.
He claims that his father, Jeffrey, was just constantly hitting on Sigourney Weaver on set.
Like relentlessly.
Yeah, pushing the harassment to the point where she simply hauled off and slapped him.
Right there on a working Disney set, which is, it's just chaotic to even picture.
And that's not even the wildest part, because the allegations he leveled in Knoxville went way beyond just that one incident.
Oh, yeah. He claimed his father, who was actually fresh out of prison at the time, was basically treating these major studio lots like his own personal hunting grounds.
Just awful.
Yeah. Holes and Charlie's Angels. Full Throttle were filming around the same time, and Jeffrey apparently had access to both.
Because Shia was working on both lots.
Exactly. And according to Shia, his dad was relentlessly harassing Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and particularly Lucy Liu.
AMZ actually reported some of the details on this, right?
Yeah. The harassment was supposedly so overt that Lucy Liu would allegedly walk in these massive, wide circles around Shia's trailer just to avoid the guy.
Because he was just constantly whistling at her and catcalling her.
Right.
Which presents this glaring mechanical question about how movie sets even operate.
Seriously.
Like, how does a major Hollywood production, an environment that is heavily monitored by legal teams, HR departments, insurance adjusters, union reps, how do they allow this man to freely roam around and harass A-list actresses?
Well, the mechanism that actually put him there is a profound failure of child labor compliance.
Okay, explain that, because it's wild.
So as a minor, Shia legally required a guardian on set at all times. The studio's compliance department, they basically view a child actor as a massive liability.
Right. Kids on sets are a legal nightmare.
Exactly. So the mandated guardian becomes their legal shield. The system is designed as this simple binary checklist. Is a parent present? Yes. Box checked, liability transferred.
Wow. So it's just a box to check.
That's it. The catastrophic blind spot is that the industry's infrastructure just operates on the default assumption that a biological parent is inherently a safe harbor.
It's like installing a state-of-the-art security system on a bank vault, but hardwiring the system to just completely ignore anyone holding a VIP pass.
Even if they're openly carrying a crowbar.
Exactly. The studio's compliance checklist was entirely blind to the guardian's actual identity. They didn't vet the parent because the parent was the one supposedly doing the protecting.
And that lack of vetting is terrifying when you look at Jeffrey LaBeouf's actual background.
Right. Who was this guy?
I mean, he was a Vietnam veteran and a former professional clown, which is a whole other thing. But
Yeah.
his personal life was defined by just severe instability.
He struggled deeply with addiction, didn't he?
Yeah, heroin addiction. Shia has spoken really candidly about watching his father go through agonizing heroin withdrawals when Shia was just 10 years old.
10 years old. That alone places an unimaginable psychological burden on a child.
Absolutely.
You are the one anchoring the family at that point. Like, from age 12, Shia lived with his dad while filming the Disney show Even Stevens.
Right, because his parents had divorced by then.
Yeah, and they grew up in extreme poverty in Echo Park.
Yeah.
Shia literally got into acting to pull his family out of financial ruin.
So the dynamic is totally flipped.
Completely. The child becomes the sole provider, and the adult becomes the chaotic dependent.
And the chaos ran much deeper than just addiction. According to public records, Jeffrey LaBeouf was a registered sex offender.
Which is just, it's so heavy to process.
It really is. In the early 1980s, he served 3 years in prison for attempted rape.
Oh my God.
And he actually admitted in an interview that he was heavily intoxicated on alcohol and cocaine during the assault.
So this is the man serving as the state-mandated, studio-approved protector for a child on multi-million-dollar Disney and Sony film sets.
Exactly. Just wandering the lot.
Imagine being a 12, 13-year-old kid. Your job is to remember your lines, hit your marks, and carry a massive franchise on your shoulders.
Which is pressure enough.
Right. But your actual unspoken job is managing the volatile, addicted, registered sex offender sitting in your trailer.
Trying to make sure he doesn't harass Lucy Liu so badly that you both get kicked off the lot.
Because if you do, you lose your family's only source of income.
It's a completely impossible situation for a kid. And navigating that level of high-stakes codependency, it leaves a profound psychological mark.
It has to.
When a child's environment is that erratic, the trauma doesn't just vanish when they hit 18, it manifests.
And for an actor, I guess the most readily available mechanism for processing that trauma is externalizing it through their art.
Which brings us to a really fascinating concept psychologists call drama therapy, and how Shia actually attempted to use it.
Right. And if you are loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed because we've got even crazier stories ahead.
You definitely want to hear where this goes.
Because this takes us right to the 2019 film Honey Boy.
Yes, this is where it gets really complicated.
So Shia wrote the screenplay while he was literally sitting in a court-ordered rehab facility. It was hailed as this brilliantly vulnerable, semi-autobiographical confession.
Right, and he actually played a fictionalized version of his own father on screen.
Opposite Noah Jupe and Lucas Hedges, who played the younger and older versions of Shia.
And the narrative of Honey Boy depicted the father character as deeply, violently abusive.
It was intense.
It was physical, visceral, relentless. When the film premiered at Sundance, the critical establishment was just mesmerized by it.
They gave it standing ovations.
Yeah, reviewers praised it as this brave exorcism of his childhood demons. And Shia went on this massive global press tour, speaking at length about how broken his father was and how the film was his way of finally confronting that abuse.
Wait, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. I want to push back on the outrage that eventually followed this movie.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's Hollywood. Every single biopic, every inspired by a true story film, exaggerates the truth for dramatic effect.
Sure, creative liberties.
Right. We don't hold the crown to a strict documentary standard. Why are we acting like Shia committed a cardinal ethical sin by tweaking his own life story to make a better movie?
Well, the ethical boundary he crossed wasn't just about tweaking a script. It was about the specific monetization of a living person's reputation through a completely fabricated public narrative.
Okay, what do you mean by completely fabricated?
So in August 2022, 3 years after the film came out, Shia went on John Bernthal's Real Ones podcast and completely retracted the core premise of the movie.
He just took it all back.
Yeah, he called the abuse narrative, quote, fucking nonsense.
Oh, wow.
He admitted his father had never hit him, save for one single spanking his entire childhood.
That is a massive pivot.
It is. In fact, Shia confessed that his father, despite the addiction, was actually a very loving presence. He described him as fractured and wonky, but insisted he was never absent and never physically abusive.
So to answer my own pushback from a minute ago, the issue isn't that he wrote a fictional movie. The issue is that he spent a year sitting in front of journalists looking them in the eye and selling that fiction as his literal historical trauma.
Exactly. He forced his father, A man who was already dealing with the reality of being a recovering addict and a registered sex offender to walk around with a brand new, entirely fabricated monster mask that his own son glued to his face.
That is so dark.
And Shia ultimately recognized that cruelty, to be fair. He admitted to the immense guilt of realizing his dad was going to have to live with this false public narrative forever.
He actually had to call his dad, right?
Yeah, he had to call his father after the premiere to take accountability for lying to the world. But exploring why he lied reveals something incredibly dark about the entertainment industry's empathy economy.
The empathy economy. I love that framing. Explain how that economy incentivized the lie.
Well, think about it.
If your real life is already a gripping tragedy, growing up in poverty, watching heroin withdrawals, managing your volatile dad, why on earth do you feel the need to invent physical abuse for the camera? Was the reality just not cinematic enough?
Precisely. Film is a visual medium. It relies on shorthand. Physical abuse leaves a visible bruise, you know.
Right. It's instantly recognizable.
It provides a clear villain and a sympathetic victim in like 2 seconds of screen time. Psychological neglect, the slow burn of codependency, the tragedy of an addict who loves you but can't care for you, that is messy.
It's totally internal.
Exactly, and it is incredibly difficult to externalize on screen. Shia actually admitted he fetishized his pain to create a product.
Wow.
He wasn't trying to heal, he was trying to win awards. He knew the Hollywood machine rewards visible, neatly categorized trauma over the complicated, invisible scars of neglect.
So he reverse-engineered what the Sundance crowd wanted to see.
Spot on.
But the fallout from that manipulation is severe. And it's a brilliant point raised by the folks over at Laney Gossip in our source stack today.
Yeah, they had a really interesting take on this.
They highlight the boy who cried wolf effect. Because Shia so blatantly and publicly lied about the central premise of his own childhood in Honey Boy, it shatters his credibility in the present.
It taints every subsequent claim he makes. When Shia stands on a stage in Knoxville in 2026 and says, "Sigourney Weaver slapped my dad," the public's immediate reflexive reaction is skepticism.
Even though we know his father's documented criminal history makes the harassment allegations highly plausible.
Right. But Shia's established track record of fabricating narratives casts a shadow over his own truth.
Which brings us to the most tragic mirroring in this entire story. Later in the episode, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming with his personal life, but honestly, we're already there.
Yeah, that's heavy here.
While Shia was busy rewriting his father's history for the silver screen, his own real-world behavior was beginning to violently echo the exact same darkness he grew up around.
It is a textbook cycle of abuse playing out in the public eye.
Just a total generational passing of the baton happening in real time.
Just as his father faced serious legal and behavioral consequences for his actions in the 1980s, Shia's adult life has devolved into this escalating series of controversies, lawsuits, and arrests.
The trauma wasn't just raw material for a screenplay anymore. It was an active, destructive force.
Let's break down the timeline because the sheer scale of the allegations is staggering.
Yeah, in December 2020, the musician FKA, Twigs, his former girlfriend, filed a massive, devastating lawsuit against him.
And she didn't just allege a toxic relationship.
No, she cited relentless, systematic abuse, sexual battery, and intentional infliction of emotional distress.
According to Variety in the court filings, the details were harrowing. She claimed he subjected her to sleep deprivation, isolated her from her support networks, and even bragged about shooting stray dogs to get into character for a role.
Which is beyond erratic artist behavior.
It's a calculated pattern of power and control, eerily reminiscent of the very mechanisms of abuse his father was incarcerated for decades earlier.
When the lawsuit dropped, Shia's initial response was this strange hybrid of denial and sweeping confession. He released a statement saying he had no excuses for his alcoholism or aggression, and he explicitly stated he had been abusive to himself and everyone around him for years.
That lawsuit hung over his career for half a decade.
Right, getting repeatedly delayed in the court system before finally being quietly settled just recently, in July 2025.
But as we know, the settlement of a lawsuit does not equate to the resolution of the underlying pathology.
Not at all.
Just a few months after that settlement, the behavioral spiral continued. In February 2026, Shia was arrested in New Orleans during Mardi Gras.
The charges were battery and using homophobic slurs while assaulting bargoers.
He allegedly attacked a queer man, screaming slurs, and later told an interviewer on the record that, quote, "Gay people are scary to me."
Which is just, there are no words.
This altercation resulted in a guilty plea, Another round of court-ordered rehab and probation.
And right in the middle of this chaotic period, in early 2026, he split from his wife, the actress Mia Goth, fracturing the family unit he had built with their young daughter.
You look at the father and the son, and the structural parallels are undeniable.
Addiction leading to unchecked aggression.
The inability to regulate impulses in public spaces, the fracturing of family units.
It's all there. But what is truly fascinating to analyze is how Shia and Jeffrey have chosen to navigate the fallout of their respective actions.
Yeah, they are both running from their demons, but they are sprinting in completely opposite directions.
The divergent paths here are incredible. Shia has pursued a path of highly visible, intensely public redemption.
Which tracks with his whole career, really.
Right. In 2022, while preparing for a role in the film Padre Pio, he officially converted to Catholicism. The conversion was heavily documented.
Very public.
And by early 2024, there were widespread reports that he was seriously considering a vocation to the diaconate, meaning he was looking into joining the clergy.
He is constantly in the spotlight, wrestling with his sins out loud, demanding the public witness his attempts at purification.
He is using the public square as his confessional.
Exactly. Jeffrey LaBeouf, on the other hand, took the path of total evasion.
Right. What happened to him?
According to investigative reports by the Tico Times, Jeffrey fled the United States and has been living in Costa Rica since 2017.
Wait, why Costa Rica?
To evade his legal obligation to update his details on the United States Sex Offender Registry.
Oh, wow. So he just ran.
He is effectively a fugitive from his own past, hiding in the shadows of Central America.
So you have the son broadcasting his flaws and seeking a literal sanctuary in the priesthood under the glare of Hollywood lights.
While the father seeks a non-extradition sanctuary in the jungle to avoid the consequences of his history.
It is a dark, tragic Hollywood inheritance. Instead of passing down a trust fund or a knack for comedic timing, it's a generational passing of addiction, legal battles, and the profound inability to exist peacefully in the world.
It really forces you to step back and look at the entire machinery of the entertainment complex that facilitated this.
Shia LaBeouf's life story is the ultimate cautionary tale about the violent collision of childhood instability and the immense unnatural pressure of early fame.
He took the messy, unglamorous reality of a father who was a drug-addicted sex offender, and he tried to mold it into a consumable product.
He tried to control the narrative of his trauma by rewriting it into a prestige indie film. But in doing so, he kind of lost his grip on reality entirely.
When you blur the lines between your actual life and a movie script, when you start treating your own memories, your own family members, as raw material for entertainment, the boundary between performance and reality dissolves.
You end up not knowing what is true, and the public ends up not knowing what to believe.
The profound tragedy is that the real story, a 12-year-old boy trying to survive, trying to act as the primary breadwinner, while simultaneously protecting his deeply flawed father from the surreal, high-stakes world of Hollywood, it was already powerful enough.
It didn't need a fictional abusive polish. The truth was devastating enough on its own.
It really was.
Which leaves you, the listener, with a final, vital question to mull over. We've spent this time analyzing how a star commodified his pain. But we have to look at our role as the consumers of that pain.
We're part of the equation, too.
When a public figure uses their trauma to create content, does the overwhelming pressure to entertain actually compromise their ability to heal?
Think about the empathy economy we discussed earlier.
If stars know that exaggerated visible pain sells tickets, wins critical acclaim, and secures standing ovations at film festivals, are we, as the audience, unwittingly incentivizing them to rewrite their own history?
Are we demanding a cinematic version of trauma that actively prevents them from doing the quiet, unglamorous work of dealing with the real thing?
It's a mechanism we are all complicit in every time we demand that a celebrity's real life be as neatly structured as a 3-act screenplay. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because we've always got more to uncover.
Thanks for diving into the sources with us today.
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.